Procedural notes. This meeting will be held electronically as per section 19(1) of the town's procedural bylaw number 6228-19 as amended due to the COVID-19 situation. Council, can I get a motion to approve the agenda with the added items? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gartner. Comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Any declarations of pecuniary interest? Being none. Community presentations. We have none. Delegations, we have two. Mr. Clerk, is it just the two? Did any come in late?
Through Mr. Mayor, that's correct. Just the two delegations this evening. We're going to invite them into the meeting right now.
Okay, so first delegation 5.1, Mercedes and Mo from Arts Help regarding Library Square art project.
The delegate will be sharing their screen, so when they're ready, we can get going.
Hi, everybody. Can you guys all hear us?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, great.
Yes, we can hear you, Mo, and we can see your screen now. So
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. First and foremost, Mayor Marakis and Council, Arts Help and I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to present our proposal for the Library Square project. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Mercedes and I am Arts Help's Vice President, excuse me, Vice President of Outreach and Research. As someone who grew up in Aurora, it is very exciting and refreshing to have such forward-thinking council who value the impact of the arts. We believe that the Library Square project will not only act as an anchor to unite the four corners of Aurora, but will be a catalyst for economic growth in the downtown corridor. It is our belief that culture and creativity are the cement that binds together not only hearts and souls, but entire communities. By amplifying awareness on Aurora's creative and artistic assets, more young creative professionals will come to the area and prosper. Visitors will experience a variety of traditional and non-traditional art forms intended to engage the viewer, inspire the viewer, and provide a platform for local artists' work to be seen, which will help them thrive in the current economic conditions. We believe that this will result in more businesses locating to the area, more foot traffic to local businesses, more jobs, and of course, the list goes on. Additionally, by getting the community engaged through art, we know that great sustainable impact will be achieved together. So I will now pass it over to my colleagues, Sophie and Mo, the founders of Arts Help.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sophie Brusseau. I'm the co-founder and chief visionary officer, so I take care of all artistic programming.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mo. I'm the co-founder. Being conscious of time, I'm going to walk you through our overview of this presentation. Now, we did have the pleasure of speaking to majority of the councillors. I know some we did not get to connect. So some of you may have already seen this, so I'll do my very best to summarize as much as possible to leave some time for Q&As afterwards. So a little bit about Arts Help. Thank you, Mercedes. We're a registered not-for-profit organization. We really launched at our home base, which is Aurora. I'm from Aurora, lived here my entire life. And when we started this organization, it started off digitally. And we've grown now over the last couple of years to a community of over 2.5 million members worldwide for Q&As. Sorry?
no, go ahead, Mo. No.
And our community that we have grown over the last year, last couple of years, has been over 2.5 million members. We do publishing, and our publishing is on our website, on our social media. We're currently the largest independent Canadian publisher, reaching over 500 million impressions every single year. We do programming. And our programming is really in partnership with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which we will touch on very quickly in the presentation. But our mandate is always inclusivity as an organization. To give you an idea of what types of programming we work on, we offer free art curriculum education. And our goal for 2021 is actually free education to over 10,000 students. We teach everything from IP protection, art therapy, digitalizing your portfolio, and we respond to emergencies and situations economically, such as that have been caused from the pandemic. So moving on to this project, why we're really excited about the Library Square project, it is really aligned with everything that we stand for as an organization. It's a place where it's for the community, by the community. And for us, we believe in starting locally and grassroots and being engaged on a grassroots level within our community of the creative industries. Our key objectives for this proposal, it starts off with when we were working on this initiative, it was really driven by community and engagement first and foremost. We know the ability and the power of art brings together. It's a neutral place for people to come together. And our second key objective is impact, and how we intend to have impact is really by aligning with that Sustainable Development Goals, with the types of programming that we do. And third but not least is awareness. So this is a really big project for the town. For me, at least in my lifetime in the town, this is probably one of the biggest projects that I've seen come to life or coming to life. And we know that it's really important for us to be able to create awareness for this incredible project. Moving on to the Sustainable Development Goals, we've touched on it, but I want to share this with everybody. So through our partnership with the United Nations, the 17 global goals range from everything from no poverty to climate action, life below water, good health, education for everybody. Within those 17 global goals, there's at least something that can resonate with people. And our goal is to really align Aurora as a resourceful and innovative town through arts. And that's really what this project is all about. It's an interactive digital network. We're very excited to propose this to you. And before we dive into what is the digital network, we want to show you a quick visual before we get into the details. Can you guys all see the YouTube video?
Yes.
Okay. So one quick thing to note, just before we get into what this digital network is from this video.
Oh, sorry, just to interrupt, Council. Would anyone like to waive procedure to allow for some more time for the delegate? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Gardner, all those in favor? Opposed, that carries. Mo, go ahead. Sorry, just had to give you more time.
Thank you so much. So what we wanted to note from this video that we just shared with everybody is it's really inclusive. You saw different ages engage, and this is what our main mission is. It's to be able to offer something that it is for anybody who is walking down the road, anybody who's walking into the library square for the first time. And what you saw were digital screens that would be permanently installed within the library square. And these digital screens are offer interactive opportunities for seamless programming throughout the year. So we eliminate having limitations around what we can do when we go digital. So for example, we could have programming where we showcase local community members. If you are a non-traditional artist, let's say you're a graphic designer, you can exhibit your work through these digital screens. You're able to bring people out to your exhibit and show them your work. So maybe, there's interest for them to hire you as a freelancer graphic designer in the town of Aurora. Or if you're a professional artist, it really is the sky's the limit. Being able to program them, and in addition to that, leading up to the development of the library square, we would be working on building an online community that is very grassroots for the town of Aurora, and integrating this online community with the digital network. So what that means is, think of it, as art in Aurora, for example, on social media. And that would be something that we would be working with local artists and creating a portal for them to be able to upload, submit, vote on what kind of programming they want to see. And it's not just artists, but it's anybody who has a passion for art or is interested. And we would use the social media platform to really be the driving force for how we basically program for the interactive digital network. That is as quick as I can go to try to be within that 5-minute time frame, but that's a quick overview of what this digital network that we are proposing forward. So if anyone has any questions, we would be happy to discuss them.
Thank you, Mel. First, Council, can I get a motion to receive? Councillor Humphreys, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Questions for the delegate? Councillor Humphreys, hands up.
Hi there. Thank you so much for delegating. I'm sorry I missed a lot of your presentation, but I did review the presentation in our package this evening, and what you sound like and what you do sounds so amazing and so incredible. And I just love the forward thinking approach. Just a quick question to you, Mr. Mayor. Is this similar to, I keep thinking Dundas Square when you're talking about this, looking at it, is that sort of the same sort of interactive digital display, or is that what your thoughts were? Just I'm trying to visualize it.
Mo, did you want to answer that, or?
Yeah, so I actually, ironically enough, I actually launched Dundas Square.
Awesome.
I used to be the head of Outfront Media. So when when the city of Toronto built, it's actually a partnership with the city of Toronto. And when I was working there, so it was very much, Dundas Square is very similar, but this is a little bit more inclusive. I find that Dundas Square, because they have like millions of people on it.
Commercial.
Yeah, it's very commercial.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to get a visual and somewhat of a similar experience, Dundas Square has very similar capabilities for sure. You can live stream, you can do very cool things, but it is very commercial. And that's really, for us, first and foremost, it was so important to have this driven by the community. And that's why, leading up to the construction, it's important for us to start building and interacting with community members and getting them engaged through a social portal. So then when we do launch, they feel like they've been a part of this journey, and they feel like they've been a part of the programming and the making of the programming. So we discussed things like collaborating with the library team, the cultural team, which we already have had the honor of kind of working with them for the Culture in a Box project. But it is important for us as we lead into this project that we're collaborating with, the town and making this a very inclusive project for everybody.
Wonderful. I really thank you so much. I just love what you're all about. I think as you said, looking forward to making impact together. Our arts, as you know, and you'll hear Councillor Gilliland say this quite often, the arts, the arts have really been hurt. Live arts and entertainment have been really hurt during these times. So I believe when we get back on track, which I know we will, that this type of, different digital communication that's so open and so welcoming will be such a help for the artists in town to really be able to showcase, like you mentioned, I caught some of the presentation near the end, just their work, their ideas, also encourage business opportunities for their work. And so I just think it's super exciting. And I think there's going to be a very great place for you guys to help us make the square what we're dreaming of today a reality. So thank you very much for presenting. I do owe a meeting with some of your team members. I got my dates mixed up. I attended a conference yesterday, so I have to apologize. But we'll be getting together anyways, one-on-one to follow up. But this was great. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I just have quick comments. I did have a meeting with you guys earlier, and we went through the presentation. And as you guys know, I'm a big supporter of the arts, and I absolutely love the initiative of what you guys are bringing forward. It's absolutely amazing. You said the impact, engagement, and awareness, all key contributors to growing the arts and culture in a community, and also just the mental health of the community as well. I mean, it really does elevate our spirits, our creativity, and as you said, art is kind of like one of those neutral places where everybody can feel together and included. And I really like the fact that you've made this very interactive and inviting for everybody. So thank you again for bringing this forward.
No, thank you so much. And honestly, it was really inspiring just having that conversation in our meeting. And we've really enjoyed, speaking to all the councillors and getting the input. I know that today Councillor Kim, mentioned that even the elderly community and having them be able to interact with something like this is really good, because usually technology is so it's inaccessible in a way, and this is intended so it is accessible and it is engaging. So that's something that we've thought about, and that's why the video, something that we wanted to highlight was it's all ages, and that's something that we are really proud to be able to bring forward.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Kim?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, thank you, Mo and the team for your time spending with all of us. I spent time with them this morning, and sadly we ran out of time because I started getting really excited. I have to say that with all due respect, I didn't know what to expect, and I wasn't really expecting that much, to be honest. But what I saw on the display really blew me away. And I'm not known to be an artistic or a creative person, but the juices were flowing as the presentation was going on. And I think just to summarize our thoughts was that this display not just be located in one room, but it would be like in a pathway, a journey throughout the new facility, whether it be in the hallway, the foyer, and kind of like the Ripley's aquarium, where you have a moving sidewalk. I'm not talking about a moving sidewalk, but that this electronic display be throughout. And the interactiveness of this really opens up a lot of options. When you look at art as a therapeutic, we know we have a lot of people with mental illness or other issues where art is a therapy, and so this can play a big part in that. We talked about seniors getting engaged to technology, and especially in a creative way like this. We talked about from a therapeutics perspective, we have Carrie's Autism Center just a couple blocks away. We have a lot of other organizations similar to that could really take advantage of something like this. And also, during my time in council, it was all about trying to get new residents involved in the town center and involved in community events. And it's nothing more than art and creative arts that bring people together. And so some of these segments of our population that we discussed, you can incorporate them. Certainly when we have our multicultural festival, which has been growing every fall, this could be a big new contributor to our growing multicultural festival as well. So thank you guys. I'm excited that this is not just going to be one room that's going to stay stagnant and the novelty of it wearing off, but each year this is going to evolve into something bigger and better, and it's going to be different each and every year. So that type of vision that you guys have placed in all of us, I think it makes Library Square an exciting place to be. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We're truly honored.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I almost hesitate to say this, but I've been a supporter of the arts for more years than any of you are old. And because of my mom, I feel like I grew up in the art galleries on Yorkville, which was quite a place in the day. Could you describe what kind of, well, how much would your service cost us? And there must be different levels of service.
Well,
Yes, so initially we are working with the budget that we were provided to be able to bring this to life for the first year. So in terms of the budget that we're working with, I believe it is 256. I would have to double check the exact budget. I know that it changed. It was initially 1%, and I know that there was a reduction to that. So that's the 1 year, and then we would basically, that would include the portal, that would include the programming and everything for the first year, and then to continue onwards, to if you wanted arts help to continue doing the programming aspect of it, that would be an additional fee that we would work with the town of Aurora at identifying, if it's quarterly programming, that we would continue onwards, and that would be a different fee. But however, the first year that we launch, we are working with an overall budget that has been provided. That includes, again, the technology, the programming, the launch, and everything else that comes with it.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time, but I believe that budget is to provide art for the square. And I was thinking that that was going to be painting, sculpture. I mean, I absolutely love my idea of having sculpture, as you see in many big cities, that people can climb on, sit in, like the Henry Moore. I was thinking of that kind of art would be an interesting draw for people. So would this be in place of that?
Yeah, from my understanding, it would be. We did explore that option of doing sculptures or getting the community to basically get involved in creating like a mural. We're very good at that. That's actually traditionally, what we do. However, when we thought about, the current trend in what's happening and how can we do this in a way where it has longevity to it, we realized after a lot of the research and the work that we've been doing with various organizations that when we do create a sculpture or many sculptures, for example, as much as they are beautiful and appreciated, after a while you've seen them once and that kind of takes away from bringing you back to it again. So there's that level of, when we were thinking about this project being a really big project for the town, we thought about what is that solution to keep people continuing to come back, and how can we have art as a drive, as a key force to bringing them back and engaging with them through art and creativity. So that's why we shifted to this proposal.
Thank you. And in my point of view, I think the intent of the policy, Councillor Gallo was instrumental in creating that. So I think the intent of the policy was to enhance the building and the surroundings with physical art, and that is what I would be interested in. This would be great as a maybe as part of when we work our culture policy through, but it is not in keeping, in my mind, with what the intent of that money dedicated to art in new buildings is meant to be.
thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you, and thank all of you for your creativity. It's always a great thing to see. We had a good conversation today, and not that I spoke to Councillor Gardner, but I think we're on the same page. I think this is a great idea within one of the buildings, but in terms of The arts, I'm a bit of a traditionalist, and I would prefer to see something within the square, a sculpture or something that's in there by either a collaboration of a prominent artist with local artists or something of that sort. But to me, a lot of thought should be put into this, and we shouldn't knee jerk and make a decision. I think there should be some thought as to how to best promote the square as far as the arts.
So
Thank you very much. Very exciting.
If you don't mind, in terms of promoting the library square, our part of the awareness component is something that we have partnered with the Guinness World Records to basically, they have reached out to us for a partnership for some time. And when we told them we were working on this project and we shared to them what our vision was with the digital screens, they were very excited because obviously right now, everything is really shifting towards, how do we go digital and be able to bring that to life. And they were just very excited about this, and they love the sustainability, they love the UN component. So we've been working with them on breaking a world record, and they would love to partner with us to break a world record using the screens and using the digital component with the community. And so that's something that would help not only when we launch, but put us on a global platform. And it's not something that would just, we're fortunate enough that we have that partnership in place. And that's something that would be a collaboration with them, where we would officially break it with their support and their planning as well, their planning team, because when they do partner up with specific media or platforms, they provide all the resources and the tools to make it happen. So we're almost guaranteed, as long as we follow the right steps in doing so. So when it comes to the awareness piece, something that we're really great at doing, as a platform that has grown from no followers to over 2.5 million, it's really doing something that is organic, something that that is grassroots and meaningful and create big impact. And we've been really great at doing that. So this is something that we have been working on, and that's included in our partnership for this project.
Councilor?
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you for everything they did. Let's take it into consideration.
Thank you. I have Councillor Gartner, second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to the delegates. What I should have said to begin with was that I think what you're doing is fascinating and far-reaching, and certainly would involve a lot of people in the community. So I congratulate you on your vision. But I was speaking to what I thought the intent of our art policy was for new buildings. So hopefully we can figure out a little mix and match here.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Humphrey, second time.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just, something caught my attention just again with the, Guinness World Book of Records. I mean, you guys have really done a lot in terms of, understand people knowing who you are. And what I think is super exciting as we develop Library Square, I think you could really help us, with some ideas. I'm getting really excited. I'm probably saying a little too much, but I just think you guys have a lot to offer. And I hope staff will have an opportunity to work with you. I'm really excited about that. And if we're the Guinness World Book of Record, it comes when we're launching, perhaps in Library Square. That'd be a great kickoff.
Well, that is absolutely our intent. And we are really excited, not just because of the alignment, but because of our roots to the town, and me being a resident, it's even more passion. And I know Mercedes, our graphic designer, is from Aurora, where we all work out of Aurora. So to see this and to be able to be a part of a project that is so significant in our town and help make impact, we already do it on a day-to-day basis, but to do it for our community just means a lot more to us.
Thank you. That means a lot to all of us. I'm here, I'm sure, and to me, personally, it's just so nice to have people that love our town and want to help our town to be the best it can be. And it's just so exciting and so refreshing. And I love that you guys have come forward. And you know what, I'm really excited. And thank you so much. I'm very passionate about Library Square. Just last night I did a funny thing. Someone sent us, my friend of mine sent my inauguration speech, which wasn't even a speech. It was just talking like I usually do. And I actually mentioned Library Square so strongly in that. And I thought I feel exactly like that. I have for the last 10 years. And, you know, this coming to fruition, it's really important to me, and I'm sure all of us around the table. So thank you guys again. I'll stop gushing and I'll meet up with you guys later.
I'm really looking forward to chatting.
Take care. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland, second time.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. And just a quick comment on the slide for the national alignment where it has the graph there. I don't know if you want to put it up, but it's really important that you guys really do focus on those sustainable development goals, which is absolutely amazing and very integral in how you are presenting this and moving forward. I'm just so excited to see that you're using this as part of your framework and foundation of how you're presenting art. So I just really wanted to point to that. So if you are researching this and you're making decisions on this project moving forward as far as the art component, this is a great thing. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Councillor Gilliland. And one thing that we are really excited about is your knowledge with the SDGs, because as you know, or as I know at least, you've been very involved with the UN, and it was really great actually when we spoke to Phil, and we reached out to our UN team and we told them, hey, the town of Aurora is actually really interested in introducing the SDGs to the town, and they were so excited. They actually provided us special material that we passed along to Phil for Culture in a Box month. And it was just really great to actually get them already involved and to have them, already knowing that there's a town in Canada that is, interested and working towards educating community members about the SDGs. So it's something that we have a lot of passion for, and it's our framework. And I know that, from a national level, it's something that we embrace as a country. And yeah, so it's really great that, that there's that alignment, even that, just the town has been very receptive to it. So we're just excited to be able to bring that forward throughout the programming.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other questions for the delegate? Mo, Mercedes, Sophie, thank you very much for coming. I got to say, it is exciting when you speak about the SDGs, for a town like Aurora to be aligning itself to be promoting the SDGs and moving towards this direction. I mean, the slide says it all, that Canada has long been applauded globally. Aurora will be known globally for moving in this direction. And I think that's what this speaks to, is that this is something that will put Aurora not only from a GTA perspective, but on the international stage when it comes to arts. And arts is subjective. Everyone looks at it in their own way and sees it their own way. And, when I see what's being presented, I think of all the goals that we have for Library Square. And I think it meets many of those goals of creating a gathering space, bringing people back continuously, having interactions, looking at diversity. I mean, you can go through the list, and us moving towards the implementation of working with the SDGs. I mean, we're talking on a global scale, and I think that brings us to another level. I think that's what we've always been looking for, is for the town of Aurora to be recognized globally, internationally. And this will bring us to that with Library Square, the downtown revitalization. This could be a major milestone in the town of Aurora moving forward. So I'm excited. I want to thank all of you for bringing this presentation to us, and I'm looking forward to how we move forward.
Thank you very much. We truly appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Can I call the vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you very much. Next, Council, we have 5.2, Lenard Lynn. the applicant regarding item 8.3, tree removal permit, application 17 Church Street. Mr.
Mr.
Clerk?
Mayor, Mr. Lind is just joining here. He might be having a problem, but
I see he's popping in right now. There we go.
okay, there we go. I don't believe Mr. Lind has a presentation to share, so I think he can just start the presentation when you're ready, sir.
All right, Mr. Lynn, you have 5 minutes and
Okay, here's my 5 minutes. Parks and Fleet recommend the silver maple tree be removed and the honey locust tree be relocated because it's less than 7 inches in diameter to the rear of the property to be enjoyed from both the deck of 17 Church when I get an occupant and the neighboring property. I'm replanting 4 coniferous trees to replace the trees that I am removing and add privacy to the neighboring residential property to the east. Heritage refers to mature trees, neither of the trees in question being removed or relocated, especially the honey locust is mature at 6 3/4 inches in diameter, as per the Parks Fleet report. I only have intent to enhance the look of my property by the addition of the coniferous trees for privacy from my residential neighbor and to improve the view of the honey locust by both the occupant of 17 Church Street and the neighbor to the east when on their decks. I thank council for their time and consideration and ask that the staff report alternative recommendation be granted.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Lynn. Council, first, can I get a motion to receive and refer to item 8.3? Councillor Humphries, second. Councillor Gilliland. Any questions for the delegate? Councillor Humphries, did you have your hand up?
Yes, through Mr. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And just from your perspective, I guess those 2 trees, just from your own sort of approach, that taking those down will help you do a number of things, as you mentioned. Could you just elaborate further if that were not the case for you this evening?
Mr. Lynn?
Well, the 2 trees have already been approved by HAC to be taken down. The lot itself is like a mud lot because of the way it's been maintained for the years that it had school in there. I'm just trying to improve the whole property in general.
Okay, just in order to get it to under sort of a right
Yeah,
stance.
like it doesn't even make sense what they've done in there, and
Sure.
we won't even get started on what I have to do inside the property, inside the heritage home, but we'll go from there.
Standard, right? Exactly. No, thank you very much. I know it's not easy to appear here this evening and even to speak to us, but I appreciate you coming forward, and we'll be discussing that shortly. Thanks so much.
Yeah, the only other little comment I had is that I didn't handle the Zoom meeting properly. I thought I left that HAC meeting with full approval. And I went to Sarah from the Parks Department, and she was I didn't know that I didn't get everything I wanted. So that's why I'm here tonight. So I apologize. I'm just not technologically inclined, and I didn't have staff that night to help me, and I thought I was granted, and that's why I'm here again tonight. So
no worries, Mr. Lynn. Trust me, I'm not technological either, and that's my business to support, which is scary. But just in terms of yes, I do remember you coming to HAC, and we were good with what happened there. But it does have to be ratified at council. So this is GC, and it has to be voted on again at the end of the month at a council meeting. But we'll be able to discuss shortly. And thank you for coming forward. Appreciate it.
Okay, I appreciate all your time.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor, to the delegate. If you could just repeat, you were willing to move the locust tree into another location?
Yeah, right behind the deck where it can actually be viewed. There's no windows of any size or proportion where this tree is. It actually interferes with the entrance into the backyard. But behind the house, we have double garden doors. We can overlook it, and so can the neighbor for that.
Councillor?
Gotcha. And if you don't mind, I was kind of, I missed with this in respect to the silver maple. What was the status of that? You were going to relocate that as well, or you were not going to? I'm sorry, I missed that. I'm a little confused.
Mr. Lynn?
The multi-stem one.
Matter. And he's a residential tenant. It's a commercial, a replanting plan there. And I'm going to put 4 coniferous trees in there. So the neighbor will have privacy from his residential property to my commercial property year round, as opposed to having this twig to like that. How they describe it. Let me just give you the report. It says, trees species, no, that's not it. This type of growth is of concern as the tree stems mature, sprawl at irregular angles, and the structural integrity of the tree in the long term could be potentially compromised significantly. That's it. That's in the your general committee report. It's page.
Yep. No, I did. I read that. I just didn't hear what the result of what your compromise was. That's what I wanted to have a little understanding of what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, you're going to put in a bunch of coniferous trees along one side of the property for added privacy, but as a result, the multi-stem silver maple is part of that removal plan. That was not going to be moved. That's going to be actually, it's not going to be relocated. Rather, it's going to be removed. Follow you. So as far as the spaded, because it's kind of worded in the report as spaded trees. So what's like the size of these conifers that you're putting in?
Well,
it'd be helpful to kind of understand what the trade-off is here. Is it a little 2-foot high conifer, or is it something of?
You don't need a spade to put a 2-footer in. I don't have the diameter here for you right now, but they will be spayed in. I don't know what that is, but they'll be at least as big as the 19.5 Norway maple that's in the backyard.
Oh, okay. No, that makes a difference because I just know
100%.
the root ball to a coniferous tree is rather large to begin with. So you could, in fact, actually require a spade for a much younger conifer. So that's why I was trying to get at, are you putting in a decent size one that's going to...
I'm putting in a decent sized tree because there's already some decent sized emeralds, spruces in there already.
Yeah. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Gardner?
Thank you. Couple of my questions were answered. Although I'm not clear, did you say our staff has said you can relocate the honey locust?
Well, their exact words, the resident is certainly open to the relocation of the tree on the property should it be feasible to do so, considering the underground utilities do not interfere with the excavation. But it's like right behind the deck of the house. We've already, or not me personally, someone has already dug concrete holes for the sonotubes for the deck. So I'm quite certain we're not going to hit anything when we move it there. And we do have a fair bit of space to move it around there too. It doesn't have to be in one exact spot.
Thank you. I'm very familiar with this property as my friend was the one who put that deck in. And there's a nice flat area south of the deck.
I took out the sandbox.
There's a nice flat area south of the deck that would be suitable for the playground. So what I remember from the report from HAC is that you wanted to remove these trees to have a flat area to put a playground.
Well, unfortunately, I had a 2-year tenant when I bought it, but COVID has kind of interfered with everything, and now I have no tenant. So if you look at the date of the request, it was in August, right? I hadn't even closed the property. The original owners had made the application.
Thank you, but I read the report a while ago, but I think it said that you wanted a flat area for a playground.
They did, yeah. The previous tenant that they had.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you, because it would be a nice flat area for a parking area.
Well, I have a parking lot in front of it.
Yes, I'm familiar with the property. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the delegate? Seeing none, Mr. Lind, thank you very much for coming. Actually, I'll ask council if we move that item forward since you've come and delegated, but we'll do that when we get to that point. So thank you for coming. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Okay, council, we are going to move to consent agenda 6.1. FIN 20-028 Q3 2020 sole and single source report. That the report be received for information. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Humphreys, second. Councillor Kim, comments or questions? All vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Advisory committee meeting minutes. Does anyone want anything off of those ones? Otherwise, I'll ask for someone to move 7.1 to 7.4. Receiving. Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Kim. All vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Regular agenda. Council, can I ask someone to move 8.3 forward for the delegate? Councillor Gilliland, second Councillor Gardner. All those in favor, moving that forward? Opposed? That carries. We will start with 8.3. Tree removal permit application, 17 Church Street. 1, that report number OPS 20-018 be received. 2, that the tree removal permit application for 17 Church Street be approved in accordance with the Heritage Advisory Committee review. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Gilliland, you have your hands up?
Oh, I was just wanting to speak to it after.
Yeah, go ahead. I already got to move. Go ahead.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Downey. I mean, I did read in the report about the Norway maples, and I just kind of wanted to point it out there that they are, in fact, classified as an invasive species.
Mr. Downey?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. They are.
Councillor?
Thank you. And with the spaded conifers that the delegate had committed to, is there anything in our policy that requires kind of like a minimum DBH for that replacement? And are they going above and beyond with what their requirement is?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, they are going above and beyond. The tree bylaw only deals with the destruction of the trees. It doesn't deal with compensation. We actually have a compensation policy that deals with that. And this application is not subject to that. So this applicant is actually going above and beyond.
Great,
Councillor?
thank you. That's all, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we did review this at HAC. Mr. Lynn did present, and there was some good discussion around the table. We understand, and we approved as the report suggests. So just wanted to have council feel confident around the table that this was an item and it was approved at HAC. And he is.
That's all?
No, that's it. Thanks. I just wanted to mention.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gallo?
Thank you. I just wanted some clarification on well, the motion that's before us and the alternative one recommendation. It says that council approve the tree removal application as presented by the resident for the removal of 4 brackets at 17 Church Street. What is the difference between that and what we're approving, or what is on the floor right now?
Mr. Clerk? Oh, Mr. Downey, do you want to answer that?
Absolutely. So through you, Mr. Mayor. So with all due respect to Councillor Humphreys, that isn't exactly what HAC had approved. HAC had approved the removal of only 2 trees. So staff have brought that forward. They also then brought forward the alternative, which is the removal of the 4 trees which is what the applicant has requested.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor, I thought that's what he had said in his presentation, that he was looking to move alternative number 1 forward and not what the recommendation was.
Mhm.
And I'm in support of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am in support of the recommendation from HAC. The Norway maples, I mean, that's no question. As Councillor Gilliland said, they just take over. The committee said that they were concerned about the loss of mature trees from the neighborhood canopy. And I completely agree with that. I think planting the cedars for privacy has to do with privacy and does not have anything to do with the neighborhood canopy. And these are nice trees. There's no guarantee that if the honey locust is relocated that it will do well, or even that it can be relocated. But you know, we're trying to keep our streetscapes. We're trying not to lose the beautiful trees that we have. And I believe that the Heritage Committee is right to say, allow the removal of the Norway maples, but keep the other 2 trees because they do add to the tree canopy.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Councillor Humphrey, second time.
My apologies, guys. Yes, you're absolutely right. We did talk about 2 trees and that was the staff recommendation. I didn't realize that there was, we didn't even look at option 1. So my apologies, guys. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gilliland, second time.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. The conifer trees, did he specifically, the delegate, say they were going to plant like emerald green cedars, or are they planting like spruce trees? I'm a little confused by what Councillor Gardner had said. Could you clarify, Mr. Downey?
Downey?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe he said they were emerald green cedars. I believe that's what he said. I'm sorry, but it's not on the drawings, so I can't tell you exactly what he's proposing, but that's what I heard him say.
Councillor?
Thank you. And I do believe that there was some photos sent with the multi-stemmed silver maple, and within the report, it does specify from staff that it would cause some structural interference and could cause some issues. So I am kind of curious as to why that wasn't part of the recommendation. I mean, I'm okay if they relocated the locust. I'd want that to be a condition in order for them to do what they're going to do. I think that, is the carbon capture on these evergreens going to outweigh or remain kind of on par? I guess, Mr. Downey, if you could maybe shed some light on a couple of those questions.
Mr. Downey?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll answer that first, and I have some additional information. So with regards to trees and their integrity, the tree bylaws it reads right now, staff do not make recommendations. All decisions are made at the Heritage Committee on any heritage tree. Those are, and they're reviewed at the Heritage Committee, and that review is brought forward to council and it's decision of council. So staff have not taken a position with regards to recommending the removal or keeping those trees because they are designated as heritage trees because they're in a heritage area. Saying that, we would have no objection to the removal of the clump silver maple. It does have structural integrity issues, particularly a multi-stem. So we would have no objection to the removal of that. With regards to the replanting plan is actually identified in the report on page 61. And they are proposing to plant 3 white spruce and 1 Ohio buckeye.
Okay, yeah,
Counselor?
right. Okay. Okay, I remember that now. Okay, thank you for reminding me. I did scroll and I was trying to find where that drawing was that showed that, because I remember Ohio buckeye actually standing out as a very different tree to be planting. So I was kind of impressed that they were trying to have a little more diversity, which I think is great. I think their choices of the white spruce and the Ohio buckeye is great. I would like to see them try and relocate the locust as far as the multi-stem tree, just based on the fact that it will, it is identified as something to be potentially causing some structural interference, maybe some damage. The tree itself does not look like it's like a very old or elderly tree by any means. But really the interest of protecting the heritage house and this foundational structure, I think would be something I would be more willing to protect in this particular case. I believe that the applicants are actually going above and beyond in replacing and giving that, that diversity and the carbon capture that we all want. And I'm okay with the alternate recommendation, but with the caveat of relocating the locust.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Gardner, second time.
I'm just looking at the report again. Again, for clarity, it seems to me that it's talking about the structural integrity of the tree. It doesn't say anything about the foundation of the house. Am I right, Mr. Downey?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the report deals only with the health of and the structural integrity of the trees.
Thank you. And I'm going to be voting against this. These are pretty trees. They add to the streetscape. They soften the streetscape, and removing the tree to the backyard. I believe it was said the honey locust, they were going to put it in the backyard. It doesn't do anything for the streetscape there. And I have to agree with what the Heritage Committee has advised. And that's the honor report.
I'm just going to interrupt because I just want to make sure that you're aware of what's actually happening. I know Councilor Gallo brought it up, just so everyone did have a full understanding. You did move this motion. The motion that you moved was the recommendation from the Heritage Advisory Committee. That's what's on the floor. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that, because I did hear you say they vote against that.
Oh,
so
that's
why.
true. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm in support of that. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that I thought maybe you had a little misunderstanding of what was happening there. So what's on the floor is the recommendation from the Heritage Advisory Committee. That's what was moved and seconded. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I just have one question, Mr. Downey. If this was not a heritage home, would there be any issues with getting a tree permit for these specific trees?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, there wouldn't.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there's no other questions, I just remind council we are voting on the Heritage Advisory Committee recommendation. So everyone's clear on that, not what the recommendation was from the delegate. Okay. Now call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That fails. Someone like to put forward another recommendation? Councilor Gallo?
Yeah, I'd like to put on the alternative with the caveat that Councillor Gillen brought up that they will be transferring, or whatever the term is, the trees as indicated. Relocating.
Okay, so number one, that council approved the tree removal application as presented by the resident for the removal of 4 at 17 Church Street with the, I'm trying to think how to put that. Mr. Clerk, did you want to add in that last little bit?
I would, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd suggest we go with the second clause about the relocation. Then if council wants, we could split the clauses and vote separately at the end. Does that make sense?
Well, I would just keep it as one because I think it's pretty much an agreement that we want to just we want them relocated, unless I'm wrong about that. But
so I just want to, just so I understand now for what we're going to put up on the screen, it's alter number 1, and maybe Councillor Gillen, could you, is it the relocating of all the trees or just one?
I think Councillor Gallo had put the motion on the floor, but I believe he meant just with the caveat of relocating only the locust tree.
okay,
Councillor Gallo, did you want to confirm that?
is that good, Councillor Gallo?
Yes, that's what they were looking to do.
Okay, so with the caveat of relocating of only the locust tree. Is that good, Mr. Clerk?
Yep, we'll put that up. Thanks.
Councillor Gillen, you second that? Okay, so I can get that up on the screen.
Done.
Okay, it's up on the screen. Councillor Gallo, Councillor Gillen, you guys both good with that? Just give me a thumbs up if you are. Good. Okay. All right, I didn't think anyone was going to speak considering we already spoke, but okay, Councillor Gardner, I'll allow it. This is a different, so it is a different motion on the floor, so go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I believe what staff said is that the resident could feel free to go ahead and try and move that tree, but they didn't say that it would be successful. It seems to me from the way it was worded that it could or could not be successful. I really don't understand where council is coming from. We've got some nice trees there and we're trying to protect the streetscape, and these are mature trees, and we know we can't, I mean, mature, it's all relative, but they're pretty mature. They certainly add to the streetscape mature. And, you know, we're going to let these come down and put in another 2 and move one that may or may not be successfully able to be moved. I really, sorry folks, I just can't understand where you're coming from. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. Just for some clarity on the motion. So when I look at the report, it talked about the relocation of the locust tree, but it was phrased in a way that should it be feasible to do so. So through you to Mr. Downey, are we confident that it can be, or do we need to have some sort of wording in the motion about should it be feasible to do so?
Mr. Downey?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't know if the word feasible needs to be in there. Our concern is that he may want to move the tree. However, there may be obstructions that would prevent the relocation of that tree. And that was our concern. So I haven't got a problem with it being feasible. Even if it is moved, there's no guarantee it will live. But there's a good chance. It's a good size, and you can spade trees that size. So that's the reason we put a caveat in there, if feasible, because until you actually get a spade in and do the locates of the undergrounds, you're really not sure whether or not you can actually spade that tree up.
Councillor?
And, you know, I'm supportive of the motion. I just wanted to be clear that if there is some impediment or barrier for the resident to relocate that tree, that, you know, council and staff will be understanding. You know, right now it just says that they must relocate the tree, but there may be an issue with that. And I just, for myself, we may want to put language in it. If not, you know, I'm sure they will try their best, but there's no guarantee, as Mr. Downey said.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Gardner, second time.
Is my hand up?
It was. Is it up or is it?
I already spoke.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. I will call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Okay, Council, back to 8.1. Pull that up here. Eight point one, Heritage Permit Application 23 Mark Street, HPA-2020-02. 1, that report number PDS 20-075 be received, and 2, that Heritage Permit Application File HPA-2020-02 to permit the replacement of 27 windows on the existing dwelling at 23 Mark Street be approved. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Humphreys. Comments or questions on this one? Councillor Gilliland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to, it could be Councillor Humphreys or staff, just trying to understand, I guess, the Heritage Committee's response is to this project. It does talk to storing the shutters in a safe location, and also speaks to, you know, the concern that they could further deteriorate. And
that's the next one. The shutters are the next one.
Which one are we on? I'm so sorry.
On 8.1, the 27 windows.
Oh.
Shutters is the next one.
I am so sorry.
It's all right. Do you have any questions or comments on this one?
No, I do not.
Okay. Any other comments or questions before I call the vote? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We'll move to 8.2. Heritage Permit Application, Elmwood Lodge, the Reuben J. Kennedy House, 15032 Yonge Street, file number HPA-2019-07. 1, that report number PDS 20-076 be received, and 2, that the Heritage Permit Application file HPA-2019-07 to permit the removal of 12 louvered window shutters on the Reuben J. Kennedy House at 15032 Yonge Street be refused. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Humphreys, second. Councillor Gilliland. Councillor Gilliland, now you may go ahead on your louvers.
Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. Just didn't scroll back far enough after we forwarded our agenda. Yeah, so I just want a little clarity on staff advising the committee that it is the owner's responsibility. I understand that, but it's about the actual storage of the shutters and the committee's concern that they would further deteriorate. And I just kind of want to understand what the overall resolution is in order to, obviously we want the shutters to be maintained and look nice. And I'm just trying to understand what, by this decision tonight, what is really the adverse effect of refusing, and how are they going to protect these shutters? And it says staff will report back to the Heritage Committee should any updates become available. And it looks like we're just exploring options. So if I could just get a little more information about that, that would be great, based on the advisory committee review.
Mr. Water or Councillor Humphreys, did you want to explain the Heritage Advisory Committee?
Well, Mr. Waters wants to kick in, but I can tell a little bit about the discussion around the table. If you'd like me to start, maybe Mr. Waters can jump in. But this is the second time. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So, Councillor, what I'll do then is when we get to you, because you got your hand up, you're second. So when we get to you, maybe you can give the next Heritage Advisory Committee. But Mr. Waters, go ahead. If you want to answer Councilor Gillen's question.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding is that the shutters are on the house at the moment. They are, in somewhat bad shape, and there's a concern that going through another winter without them being restored will, lead to greater deterioration. So I believe that the Heritage Committee would like the opportunity for them to be stored at the JOC. I believe there's a trailer that has other heritage items in it as well.
Councilor?
Thank you. And so this is something that we, as a town, we typically will allow, we'll store it. There's no cost to the town. We graciously accept it in the spirit of protecting the heritage value and circumstances like this. I just haven't heard of this before.
Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think in the past it's been the practice of the town to try to accommodate these heritage features, but ultimately it's the responsibility of the owner of the home to store whatever heritage items he has on his property. I believe there is a modular trailer or whatever at the JOC, and it's pretty full is what I understand. Mr. Downey can confirm that. So we've been advising residents that it's their responsibility to store these heritage windows or doors or shutters or whatever it's been over time.
Councillor?
Thank you. And just if there is any kind of update between now and this agenda and report came out, has there been any response from the owner about this option? Have they been approached on this?
Waters?
On this, on the storage?
Through you, Mayor. I'm not aware of any conversation that's taken place, but I can certainly follow up between now and council.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys?
All right, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much. Yeah, so just basically this owner has come to us twice asking for the removal of the shutters. Just wants to get rid of them. Heritage, we don't believe that that's the right thing to do. The shutters are absolutely integral to the building. And there's some that are in great shape and there's a couple that are in bad shape. So what we asked the applicant to do 6 months ago was to find a way to repair the shutters. We even suggested different contractors. And if that wasn't good, to come back with perhaps another alternative to do identical replicas if it's just way too expensive to repair. It's something Hack would absolutely entertain, but we haven't had that. It came back and just said, just get rid of them. So in an effort to help him with storage until he comes back with whatever his solution is going to be, that we'd offer, some place to salvage the shutters for now until he gets into a point of repair or replacement to identical. And again, Carlson was really good in terms of helping him with some suggestions. Even some people on Hack were able to provide staff with some suggestions of places that would, do replicas or repair, hopefully at a reasonable price. So we're really hoping that the owner takes this seriously. This is a very significant building in town. We all know it, corner of Kennedy and Yonge, and really hope that he will do justice with those shutters. And we're giving him an opportunity, as Councillor Gillen mentioned, to store for free. We want to make sure we help, it's expensive in the first place. So we'll provide some free storage if we can fit them there while he finds a solution. And he's got lots of time to get it done. So we'll be, following up and making sure that he continues to go into the direction of repair or replacement, but to let us know as he goes along. So if that helps with council's understanding of what's happening here.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thanks.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I gave myself a tour of the JOC a couple of, I guess it was pre-COVID. There's a lot of space there. And we're really spread out there, which is great for staff, but I would be surprised if we couldn't find some storage space within that facility in the third floor or anywhere there where we could keep some of these, you know, help out a resident like this, but also there will be salvage from some heritage, some heritage salvage. I'd like to have it kept in one place, in a safe place. Over the years, we had so many items that were important to heritage that were moved from homes, and they just disappeared. What was left at the library, I mean, there was nothing really, hardly anything of value or interest. So I would like to have a safe place that we could keep these things and keep track of them. So perhaps somebody at the JOC could do a little bit of an audit to see what might be available.
Okay. A question or a comment?
Direction.
All right. Well, I'll leave that with Mr. Waters. Did you get that?
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir. And I will speak to Mr. Downey about available space at the JOC.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Gallo?
Thank you. I'm just trying to understand what the next steps would be. We refuse this. They obviously have an opportunity to come back at no expense and I guess ask again. I don't know whether it was them that asked for the storage or not, but let's say they just step away and say, I'm not going to do anything. Let's say we move this forward. I assume the ball is in their court and they have to do something. I don't know what the guidelines are in terms of timing to stop any further decay and what we can do to mandate that. Just trying to get a grip of, if we move in this direction, what are the next steps? If the residents, I understand from the report, they're having a tough time finding someone to do the repairs, and the deadline's been extended multiple times because of COVID. I'm trying to paint a picture of this and to see what the next steps will be.
Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the next step would be to find room at the JOC to store the shutters over the winter, and hopefully between now and spring, the resident or the homeowner can retain a heritage consultant and work on restoring the shutters or replacing them, or a combination of the two. If the resident does not decide to fix the shutters, I believe the property standards bylaw for heritage buildings would kick in. So, you know, we want to be reasonable and give the residents sufficient time and collaborate with finding a solution here for both sides.
Councillor?
Thank you. And is it the resident that asked for storage? Is that why this happened?
Mr. Waters?
Oh, sorry. Mr. Mayor, I think Senator Humphrey, Councillor Humphreys is going to respond to that. I'll let her respond.
Sorry,
Humphreys, go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. He didn't really ask for that. We offered because we understand the challenges. From what I understand, Mr. Waters, I believe, you know, we understand the challenges he's having, and we just don't. We're worried about the further deterioration of the ones that are deteriorating. There again, there's some that are not.
Mm-hmm.
So what we want to help him out with is take them from him and store them free of charge. So we really want to protect these shutters as much as possible. And like you mentioned earlier, some could be repaired, some replaced. I know he's mentioned he can't find anyone to help fix these things, but we've offered some very good reputable heritage repair, carpentry repair that other heritage developers or contractors have used. So we're all in, willing to help. Carlson, I know, is doing a lot of work to, I think, help suggest this to him. So to Councillor Gallo's question, we really want to protect we really just want to protect the shutters as much as possible and help him, because if this goes on and on and on, we're going to get to that point, you know, of no return, and then and then it's a shame, right? So we really just want to tighten this up a little bit, take the shutters from him, and give him a timeline, I believe, of 6 months to get this worked out. It could take as long as 2 years to get the shutters back up and repaired in place, but as long as we see the ball rolling and we protect the shutters in the meantime.
Councillor?
That helps.
Councillor Gallo?
Yeah, it does, as long as someone is on it, so that I agree. Something is done one way or another, and if we're able to help by storage, that I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call a vote.
Oh.
Councillor Gardner, was that you? Was that an ope that I want to speak again? Ope?
Oh, it was that you didn't see my hand. Very brief comment.
Video's off, that's why I didn't see your hand.
Yeah. I think that the Heritage Advisory Committee, I have to give them a lot of credit because I don't remember any Heritage Committee since I've been on council that will go that extra mile to try and protect heritage. So thank you.
Councillor, and I will say they have done a tremendous job, but I wouldn't want to shortchange last term's Heritage Advisory Committee with former Councillor Jeff Tom, who's very, very passionate about our heritage, and so I wouldn't want to shortchange him on that.
Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Well said. I agree with you that they've done an excellent job. This Heritage Advisory Committee, absolutely.
And I will add that I was on last term's
That's
committee.
right, Councillor Gardner.
But I don't remember any initiative like this. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner.
I will call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. Thank you. 8.4, CS 20-025 Modernized Fence Bylaw. 1, that report number CS 20-025 be received. 2, that a new fence bylaw be brought forth and enacted at a future council meeting to repeal and replace the current fence bylaw number 4753-05P, and that an amendment to the fees and charges bylaw be brought forward to a future council meeting to implement fees associated with a fence variance process, and 4, that an amendment to the Aurora Appeal Tribunal bylaw be brought forward to a future council meeting for enactment. Would someone like to move the recommendation? No?
Oh.
Councilor Gardner, you want to move that?
Yep.
Thank you. Someone like to second it? Going once. Councilor Thompson, thank you. Comments or questions? Councilor Gardner, did you want to speak to it?
No, thank you.
Oh, okay. Councilor Humphries, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Sorry, my apologies. Through you, Mr. Mayor, may I ask a big favor? I understand the intent of the bylaw changes, and just wondering if at all possible, if we could get sort of a tracked change from the bylaw. Is that possible? So that we can really see the differences pulled from the bylaws, and if there's clauses completely written out and the ones brought back in, I'd love that opportunity. And if I've missed it, my apologies. Because I understand the intent, but I'd really love to understand the differences. So sort of side by side. Is that possible to you, Mr. Mayor, to Mrs. Van Leeuwen?
Ms. Van Leeuwen, can we get that before next week?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this bylaw has been extensively reviewed by our associate solicitor, and he has done the bulk of changes. So I would have to ask him if those changes the track changes are available. There has been extensive changes. There are 3 major modernizations to this bylaw, one being the variance process to deal with non-compliant fences, the other being order provisions to give us the enforcement tools to prosecute non-compliance, and also includes information about provisions with the AMPS program, administrative monetary penalty system, that we are we have not yet brought that forward. It got delayed due to COVID, but we have the language in here. So in the future, when we bring forward this streamlined approach to administrative penalties, it would enable us to do so. Those are the three major changes.
Perfect, thank you. And I got the gist out of that as well. It seems like, but for me, it would be really, if possible, if the solicitor doesn't mind, if you can get the track changes, so I could just kind of do some highlights, understand the true impact of the changes, because from looking at it overall, sounds good. I just want to make sure that I'm not committing to something. I've done that before. It's like, is that what that really meant? So I'd love to see that if that's possible, and then I'll be more prepared for council when we approve it or whatever.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Gilliland?
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Humphreys. I was going to suggest the same thing. I would like to see the track changes as well. There's quite a lot of content there that we're trying to streamline and modernize. And while I do, applaud the modernization and streamlining and tightening things up to make it a little bit easier to, I guess, deal with some of these fencing bylaw issues and give you a little bit more tools. While I appreciate that, I just want to have the opportunity to kind of look closely to make sure that we're not missing something that maybe we would like to see maybe changed a little bit, or maybe revised. And there could be 10 different things on that have been revised, but maybe there's 2 of them that maybe I don't agree with, and I just want to have that opportunity to not miss that. There was one point in which I did notice one about an officer being authorized to enter a property at any time and for the purpose of the inspection. And I was just curious about the language, because it made it seem like you could walk in anybody's backyard to inspect a fence if there was, say, a non-compliance on a fence in a backyard. Just the way I'm reading it, it's kind of like saying I can go walk in your backyard whenever I want, so I can make sure that the height of this fence or whatever the non-compliance is to check. And versus, I know that we had passed, the entry bylaw not too long ago, where there was a quite an extensive process to get to the point where you would just enter on someone's property. So I'm just kind of wondering a little more clarity on what we're actually allowing an officer to do if it happened to be in someone's closed backyard to measure a fence.
Ms. Van Leeuwen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So these are powers of entry that our prosecutor has requested that are contained within every bylaw. We currently don't have the reference that you made to with respect to our approach and procedures. That's a standard operating procedure, not a bylaw. That was the one that was approved by council approximately a year or 2 years ago. And we would follow that procedure in terms of giving notice to owners requesting for entry. But this, just in case there is a safety issue, that this would enable us to enter into the property if it was a public safety issue. And it could be with respect, especially when we're speaking about pool enclosure permits. That is public safety.
Councillor?
Okay, I guess I get what you're saying with the pool closure, and so this is where the clarity I need, and just understanding what those track changes are and specific to what's already written and understanding those differences. Even that public health safety aspect would really, help us understand what kind of powers of entry we're talking about here. So, is there somewhere that it's clarified within this policy or this change or revision that outlines what those parameters are for reference, or does it say to point to that as a reference?
Ms. Van Leeuwen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the powers of entry is legislative and contained within the bylaw, but like I said, we do have our standard operating procedures, which I'd be happy to forward to you, that would outline how we will proceed and what measures we will take before we exercise that power of entry.
Perfect. Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think that I just want to see that one relates to the other. So if it's giving you power of entry and, you know, in this bylaw, it's got to follow the power entry policies we have in place. I just want to make sure the dots connect with one another and it's not misinterpreted in a way that I can just go in your backyard and measure your fence, you know, morning, noon, or night. I just want to make sure that that clarity is there. So I would appreciate if you could send that. And yes, I would really love to see some track changes to help me identify what is being changed and why.
Councilor Gallo?
Thank you, and I agree. It was almost impossible for me to get a sense of the nuances on changes. But one of the big ones for me is the delegated authority, and I'm trying to understand the rationale behind that. Generally speaking, the intent is that these types of things won't come before council. And I'm trying to understand whether, as a result of the modernization of the bylaw, that we feel that there will be many more issues coming forward, and it would either bog down council or in the past, at least the only one that I remember, and I think is noted in the report, is the St. John Side Road one. And I'm trying to just understand why we're moving towards a delegated authority.
Mr. Elmwood?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if you recall, when we were dealing with the St. John's fence, there was a request of council to come forward with a process to deal with existing non-compliant fences. And when we brought that report forward in June, we did identify that we would be introducing a variance process for both existing and non-existing fences. So if somebody wanted to a variance to the fence bylaw, they could come forward and request that variance. And this is, we've done a review of other municipal bylaws, and there's many bylaws that have a variance process, and we have variance processes in other bylaws, like our sign bylaw. So it enables staff to make those decisions with, you know, that are warranted. We, of course, we're going to look at various documents and information, and we'll make a decision. And then if the applicant wishes to appeal, we do have an appeals tribunal bylaw or committee. So then the applicant has the they have the option to appeal to the appeals tribunal committee, who also see appeals of animal control bylaw orders and property standards orders. So they are very familiar with these types of processes.
But through you, Mr. Mayor, do we feel like these changes will bring on many more variances that if we don't do this, council will have to deal with? I'm trying to understand. I mean, my experience on council, we haven't had a lot of these. Well, sometimes they're, you know, difficult to deal with. You have residents complaining about residents normally, but I haven't seen council bogged down with these types of things. And it does say in the report that, you know, we're doing these changes to meet community needs. I suspect nobody from the community is actually saying, please council, we don't think you should be dealing with this. We think it should be at the staff level and give authority for them to make these decisions. If as a result of these changes, we feel like there'll be many more applications and many more variances, and council will have to deal with all of those, then, you know, let's have that discussion. Do we believe that's the case?
Ms. Van Loon?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's hard to know. Over my years here, we've had some requests for variances for fences, but when our residents are advised that they have to go to council, they tend to pull back, and then they just are reluctant to come forward with that request. So you're right, we've had very few of these, but it also gives us the ability to deal with the non-compliant existing fences as well. That might be reasonable.
Okay, and just on a final note, the chart does, you have 5, I think, municipalities there. East Gwillimbury, Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Markham, and Newmarket. 3 of the 5, yes, don't have delegated authority. 2 of them do, Newmarket and Markham. I'll wait to see what the tracks are, and then just so I get a better understanding of where we are.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner. Yep. You're on mute, Councillor.
Thank you. I think everybody has covered my points. I think the tracking idea is a good one, and seems to me that was requested a few years ago, that when we do make changes that we have a report like that so that it's very clear for council. So I'm glad to hear that something's going to be coming back. I'd like to thank Ms. Van Leeuwen. I know she's worked very hard on this, and with respect to power of entry, I just assumed, I think correctly, that it's governed, any right of entry is governed by our policy on that. And it would just be if it was a danger or hazard. Ms. Van Leeuwen, is that correct? Anytime we go into a property, it has to be for an imminent danger?
Ms. Van Leeuwen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Imminent danger, public safety. The other one is if we need to collect evidence that is going to be critical in a court of law. And the example that I would like to use is somebody who was cutting down 10 trees in their backyard. We need the evidence of the size of the trunks and yeah, so in order to have that evidence to be successful in a court of law, we might exercise that power of entry. But again, the standard operating procedure requires that the officer consult with the manager and director. And we've been following that procedure since it's been in place.
Thank you. And that's, I mean, that's there obviously for a privacy issue, and to give everybody, make sure everybody, any staff knows the parameters. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Ms. Van Leeuwen, I'm just going to ask one. Is the power of entry, was that changed at all through the bylaw, or is it's exactly the same as it was previously?
To you, Mr. Mayor, we've included language that wasn't there previously. And as I mentioned earlier, that's a recommendation that's coming from our prosecutor, that all bylaws should contain those powers of entry as legislated. It's there. If we do, whether or not it's specifically written in bylaw, we do have that legislative power, but from a prosecution standpoint and from for clarity to the residents, it just provides for that clarity.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that answer. And I know that obviously, you know, where I stand on power of entry. We had a long discussion. We've dealt with this since last term. We came to an area to a resolution where I think that we could all settle on and move forward with the SOPs. And I'm quite comfortable moving forward, knowing that our staff are following those SOPs before they move in on any entry, unless there is any safety, immediate danger, or any type of evidence collecting that we absolutely need. So once again, I appreciate the work on that on that part, and I'm also looking forward to hopefully getting those track changes as well.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Call a vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. All right, council, 8.5. Pending list update. 1, that report number CS 20-026 be received. And 2, that items marked completed be removed from the pending list. Would someone like to move this recommendation? Councillor Thompson, second. Councillor Humphreys, comments or questions on this item? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carry. Oh, Councillor Gardner, I've already. Can you say
No, 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 my hand was up, sorry. I beg your pardon?
Save it for next week? You can just pull it next week. I already gone through the vote.
You don't, I put my hand up before you called the vote, Mr. Mayor. So bring it to next week's GC or?
Council, at the council meeting, you can pull it. No? So you're not going to, so if you talk now, you're not going to pull it at council? Is that what you're telling me?
I'll wait till council, but you have always allowed councillors to speak when you haven't seen their hand. So let's create a fair playing field here, Mr. Mayor. I'll wait till council.
Actually, I haven't until actually Councillor Gallo can back me up on this. Me and him had a big brouhaha, and I actually asked him to waive procedure to allow him to speak. So if you want to, I'll do exactly the same. I'll extend you the same offer. If you want to waive procedure and council wants to allow you to speak, because they've already put up their hands in a vote.
Mr. Mayor,
So
I'm going to wait till council.
Okay, so you'll follow the proper process. Okay, thank you.
That really, the proper process is that you make sure you check all of the hands before you call the vote.
And Councillor, I did.
Well, we have a difference of opinion, Mr. Mayor. Let's leave that.
If you had your camera on, maybe I would have seen your hand.
My camera's on.
It's on now.
No, it was on.
We can go back to the video, Councillor, another time, and we can have this discussion offline.
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor, that's enough.
No,
That's
go
enough.
back. No, you mentioned it. Go back to the video and check.
I'm the chair. I will go back and check, and I can guarantee you, I did not see your hand. I called the vote. Everyone put up their hands. Obviously, they didn't see you put up your hand because they voted, and so we're moving on. If you'd like to waive procedural bylaw as per our process to speak, by all means, put it ahead. But you said you didn't, and you'll speak next week, 2 weeks in council. So I'm looking forward to that discussion. That carried. 8.6. FIN 20-029, annual cancellation, reduction, or refund of property taxes under sections 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act. 1, that report number FS 20-029 be received. 2, that the total property taxes in the amount of $4,072.20 due from the property owners be adjusted pursuant to section 357 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the Act. 3, that total property taxes in the amount of $10,923.45 due to the property owners be adjusted pursuant to section 358 of the Act. 4, that any associated interest charged applicable to these adjustments be canceled in proportion to the total property taxes adjusted. 5, that the Director of Finance, Treasurer be directed to remove said property taxes from the collector's roll reflecting these property tax adjustments. 6, that the Director of Finance, Treasurer be delegated the authority to process and remove property taxes from the collector's roll reflecting property tax adjustments throughout the calendar year and set out in sections 357 and 358 of the Municipal Act, and with an information report presented to council at the end of each calendar year. Would someone like to move the recommendation? And can I have all councillors' cameras on so I can see if they want to move or speak, please? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Humphreys. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you to Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. On page 5 of 6, it says that the town's 2020 budget for our share of property tax adjustments, such as 357s, 358s, and the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation's minutes of settlement is $200,000. And I just want to make sure I understand that, because when I look at historically in 2017, 18, and 19, we're only showing about $10,000. So why do we budget for so much?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're starting to see in a lot of other municipalities a number of property tax appeals on larger commercial properties. And this is starting to be a bigger problem in some of our southern municipalities within York Region. So what we do is we budget this amount in case we have to have these adjustments throughout the year. If these adjustments do not come through, then it does end up falling to the surplus.
Councillor.
Thank you. Appreciate the explanation.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. 8.7, PDS 20-071, application for draft plan of subdivision 15370 Leslie Skale Inc. 15370 Leslie Street, Part Lot 2, Concession 2, file number sub-2019-02. Related file numbers ZBA-2017-02 and SP-2017-02. 1, that report number PDS 20-071 be received. And 2, that the draft plan of subdivision file number sub-2019-02 to create one block on a plan of subdivision to facilitate the future development of 4 common elements condominium townhouse blocks be approved, subject to the conditions of approval attached hereto as Schedule A. Would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Thompson, second. Councillor Kim, any comments or questions on this item? Councillor Thompson, is your hand up or from last time, or is it? No? Okay. Thank you. Councillor Gardner, your camera's off. Would you like to speak? You're on mute.
I got to stop doing that. No, I was checking the agenda on eScribe, but my camera was on before, Mr. Mayor.
Appreciate it. So no comments or questions on this one? Call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. No notices of motion. New business. I will start around the room. Councillor Gardner, new business.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is to Ms. Van Leeuwen. Ms. Van Leeuwen, I don't know whether, I didn't read if you got back to me. The Redmond House, which is under a planning application that's been hanging around for a long time on Yonge Street, just by Hillary House, it's in very bad shape. And I did speak to Councillor Humphreys about this. I believe we have a policy in place for protecting our heritage homes that are not occupied. And, you know, we also have other parameters where we watch these homes. We make sure that they don't fall to the ground. It's called demolition by destruction. So where are we at with the Redmond House, please? And how can we ensure that other heritage properties are protected, other vacant heritage structures are protected? I got a complaint from a resident, so I know our bylaw is complaint driven, but with something like this, perhaps bylaw staff or somebody could keep, planning staff, somebody could keep an eye on it.
Ms. Van Leeuwen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I did respond to your email, but in
Thank
short,
you.
in short, Thank you for bringing this to our attention. A bylaw officer did attend the property and several violations were noted. Being graffiti is a violation of our Clean Communities bylaw, and then other property standards issues were noted. So we have issued a notice of violation for the graffiti. The officer is working with planning to identify what those heritage attributes are, because in our property standards, we do have enhanced provisions to conserve heritage features. So he is in the process of working with planning to gather that information and will be taking further action under the property standards bylaw. And then
Thank
with
you.
respect to monitoring, I can certainly have a conversation with Mr. Waters. At this point in time, our bylaw division is extremely busy. So I will have a conversation with Mr. Waters in terms of monitoring some of these heritage properties.
Councillor?
Thank you. That would be great, because we lost at least one because it was pretty much ready to fall down. It couldn't have been fixed up at that point. And also, this is in a heritage district. So, it would, at least the homes in the heritage district, we need to check. If Mr. Waters, if you guys could come to some kind of an understanding of this, and if not, I'll volunteer, as long as I have a list of vacant homes, to check them. It would be a shame to lose this because it just falls down. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, new business? No. Councillor Gallo, new business?
Just quickly, hopefully, just as a result of the first delegation, maybe through you to Ms. McDougall, what is our plan regarding public art at Library Square?
Ms. McDougall?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, staff were still due to return to council with a public art policy and confirming the direction for public art in general. But certainly with the funds that were allocated from this project, we would have been returning to council with seeking some guidance on how you wish to see those funds spent, whether it be through on the property or within the building or within the properties themselves. So we still were due to come back to council on that. At this point, that is not scheduled. It certainly would be something we would anticipate in 2021, we'd be back to council. So in light of the presentation, we may need to expedite that to coming to council.
Councillor?
Okay, thanks. Just wanted to see what staff's perspective. My view is we should, take our time and analyze every aspect of it and see how we can best develop a public art policy, as well as deal with the funds that we've put aside for Library Square.
Thank you. Councillor Kemp, new business?
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Downey. I noticed that with the snowfall today that the sidewalk plowers were going extremely slower around the bend and corners, and I didn't see too much sod being upended, and so thanks staff for communicating our concerns to the contractor.
Thank you, Councillor Kim. Councillor Gillan, new business?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to mention there's some great things that are going on in the town. One of them is Deck the Halls light tour that's coming up. I had posted, I'm not doing a PSA.
You're not doing a PSA?
No, I just kind of noticed that the short link doesn't work and the page isn't found. And so I'm just requesting staff maybe take a look at that. The short link being www.aurora.ca/deck the halls tour. It says page isn't found on that short link. The long link, the manual way of going there with the long link does work. I just want to make sure that, the public does get this information, because I believe it's December 10th is when the map's going to be released.
Ms. Bennett, can we take a look at that and make sure we get the link corrected? Oh, Ms. Bennett's there.
Yes, sir. We'll make sure that's done.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Skale. Counselor?
Perfect. And I just kind of wanted to thank Mr. Downey for forwarding me a lot of information based on property on Kennelly Court, but it wasn't on Kennelly Court, it was on Lacey Court about some trees and the committee adjustment. And I just wanted you to confirm this was something that was approved and there was some permits issued in order to allow the work that was being done. So Mr. Downey, could you just, for the sake of the public, because I've had some inquiries, could you just confirm that this was approved?
Mr. Downey?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it was. So we have opportunity to make comment with the Committee of Adjustment, and so we place conditions on the severance application. So even though there was some tree removal, there will be some tree compensation on those properties as well.
Councilor?
Thank you. And as far as the compensation, could you kind of expand just a little bit on the what that compensation looked like and what's being accepted?
So I'm sorry, but I can't give you details with regards to that. I know I sent the information, but I know compensation was given. I'm sorry, but I haven't got the exact details. As you know, our compensation policy generally is 1-for-1. And so whatever trees are cut down, that same caliper is put back in. And as per council direction, we're asking for the largest trees possible to be put onto that property. We're continuing to try to make sure that we maintain as mature a tree canopy as possible. But I'm sorry, but I couldn't give you much more detail than that.
Councilor?
Okay, thank you. I'm just glad to hear that we are promoting the largest tree possible in the spot as replacement, because I do think the age of a tree and the maturity, the more mature it is that we can do without the risk of the health, I think is a much better way of replacing our canopy much quicker when we're faced with these situations. So thank you.
Councilor Humphreys, new business.
Great, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. The first thing is it appropriate at this point to ask staff to formally engage with Arts Help? I think it's too great an opportunity with so much credentials behind them. I don't want to miss the opportunity. It's so vibrant and exciting. Can we put a motion now, or should I come with a motion to ask them to formally engage with them?
Mr. CEO?
Possible?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think a motion is necessary. We, as Ms. McDougall said, we'll ratchet this up the priority list now, given that presentation tonight, and we'll get something to council, and we will certainly circle back with Arts Help and make sure that their proposal is included and assessed as part of our report to council.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Just in terms of, Councillor Gartner mentioned it earlier with the house, the Reuben house, and I appreciate Ms. Van Leeuwen's update. But we did put in a property standards enhancements years ago for our heritage properties. Does that need to be looked at again for further enhancement? That was a pretty prominent house right on Yonge Street, boarded up, like kind of, I just would have thought bylaw would have noticed it on their drive. Is there a refresher we need to take when we're looking at heritage properties and property standards? I know Councillor Gardner offered her time. I mean, I do the same, but I just wondered if, do we need a sort of a refresher just to say, guys, keep your eyes open for deterioration on heritage homes?
Ms. Van Leeuwen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the provisions in the property standards bylaw with respect to heritage attributes are pretty extensive. I think, like I've mentioned earlier, our bylaw team has been fairly significantly overwhelmed with COVID. So you know, they've been very, very busy. And if it comes to our attention, we will for sure take action.
Okay, so right now it's still reactive, but it kind of worries me. But then I go on to the next ask is, how are we doing on the listed properties list? Like, I think we hired or had someone hired to do the work through our listed properties to determine what is actually heritage and what is to be removed. Do we have an idea on how we're doing there? Maybe with you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Waters.
Mr. Waters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we have finally engaged our consultant. It took a little bit of time to get through the procurement process, but we have retained them. We are looking at having a meeting sometime in December, a kickoff meeting. I believe the committee has selected its members to sit on the, I think there are 3 committee members sitting on the technical working group or steering committee. And I think we're looking for some council members to be part of that as well. I don't think that's formally been decided yet, is what I understand it.
No,
I think Mr. Clerk is working on that. So, but yes, we're up and running, and hopefully we'll have a first meeting very shortly.
Perfect. No, thank you very much, Mr. Waters. I think the sooner we get that list, I think it'll be a lot easier for us to give that list to bylaw, and maybe they do a quarterly proactive check drive, look at the homes and stuff. And I also just wanted to mention that I did see bylaw going to businesses and checking things out, and they had a York Region representative there. So I actually was at a store when that happened, and it was a tiny little store. And anyways, they were doing a really good job. So I know they're trying to keep everyone safe. It's not an easy time right now. I also just wanted to give some great thanks to Mr. Waters, your team, Anka, and Jeremy and Glenn. I know I've mentioned it a few times here, but one of the things that I was pleased with was one of the initial resident complaints to me was a very serious one. And I checked with them on Thursday last week, and they're super happy with the driveway repairs. Really thankful that the town did what they did. And it was a very serious issue from a number of other reasons, but I just wanted to thank you for going that extra mile, you and your team, because it truly turned a pretty, I think, tough situation and saved it. Let's put it this way. And I think we've got some residents that have some trust and confidence in the process, and getting into that, I guess, right to the end step where, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to look.
Thank you, through Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Humphries. I take no credit for that at all, by the way. That's all Anka and Jeremy. And we understand that there is an emotional side when it comes to residents and their property and how things used to be, and change is sometimes not always looked upon in a positive way. But definitely, Anka and her team do the best they can to protect the residents and also implement what the town needs as well from an infrastructure.
Yes, and I think what's really important with that, again, is just the fact that you turned the situation, made it positive and even better, because as we learned through this, I think the communication got tighter and tighter. And I think that's something maybe, Mr. Waters, for next time, a big project of this significance and so much disruption, that we start to think about maybe with Ms. Bennett's help, how we can proactively communicate, perhaps an itinerary, weekly itinerary. It's subject to change, but the neighbors know, because what was happening is one neighbor, and they had different conversations and became a real, almost like a traffic jam of communication and misunderstanding. So I think maybe moving forward, we could do a bit of a review on that piece, and hopefully next time, smooth sailing.
Through Mr. Mayor, yes, I agree with you, Councillor Humphries. I think the communication side of things has kind of taken a second or a back seat on these big projects, and I think we need to advance them to be almost like a planning project where we engage early and often.
Absolutely, I think you can't hurt, even if you have nothing to report. Going to be a quiet week, guys. Nothing's happening. I think that just would really help the residents, absolutely. And then just last but not least, just 1 second, I wrote that. No, I think actually that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gardner, you got something else from new business?
I have a question to staff. On Friday evening, I was driving by on Industrial Parkway and I saw that there were a lot of people inside one of the units. They were wearing masks, but they were definitely not socially distanced. It was quite a crowded space. So is there anything that the town can do in a case like that?
Ms. Van Leeuwen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, is this private property that you're referring to?
It's a business unit.
A business unit. We are certainly responding to all COVID concerns and complaints. And actually, this past week have taken a very proactive approach with respect to education. With Black Friday approaching, they were out, I think they visited about 65 different businesses just to inform them of process, procedure, guidelines, public health matters. And we've been also working with public health, NYRP across the region to have a consistent approach and a partner relationship.
Well, I mean,
if it comes to their attention, they will respond if we have a resource available. We don't have 24/7 resources.
Right. So this was Friday night at 8:30. So was there anything that I could have done?
Councillor, I'm just going to ask, sorry, Ms. Van Leeuwen, I'm just going to ask, did it happen to be, because I know that along industrial, there might have been a, being used for religious purposes, and they have, I'm just asking, the only reason is because they're allowed 30% of occupancy compared to, they're not limited to that 10. Am I correct, Ms. Van Leeuwen? Is it under the red zone, they're still allowed 30%?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would have to verify that. I don't want to give an answer that may not be correct, but there are different limits depending on the event and occasion. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was but it could have been, because there was an upstairs as well that I couldn't see. But is there anything that I could have done or that a resident could do at 8:30 on a Friday evening?
Ms. Van Leeuwen?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if they call Town of Aurora, our after hours service kicks in and they will be transferred to the call center. The call center has the schedule of officers on duty and they will make that call to that individual. And if we have an officer on duty, they will respond.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to give you a sense, I can give you numbers for Friday, November 27th. So Friday, since the regional council concluded, members of the COVID-19 enforcement task force combined to visit 439 businesses across the region in the one day. Inspections, let me see, 8 charges were laid against residents and businesses in that one day. And in addition to laying charges, the enforcement task force conducted 686 compliance education activities in that one day, 193 for physical distancing, 201 for face coverings, 97 business regulations, and 195 gathering limits. That blitz continued throughout the weekend. I'll see if I can get the numbers compiled for all of you and send them out to you so you have an understanding of what staff from a regional perspective have done. And then I'll also see if we can break it down from an Aurora perspective as well for all of you, okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
I mean, somebody told me that our numbers for today, they were for York Region, or maybe it was for Aurora, they were pretty alarming.
It was York Region the other day was above the 200. It was 280 something, but it's dropped back down to about the 140 mark. So it's fluctuating.
Okay. I thought this person said 200 in Aurora, which was pretty scary.
No,
thank you.
Not in Aurora. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Council, I just have one new business. I just want to make mention that I've spoken to other mayors, the small urban mayors within the GTHA, having a GTHA mayors group that's comprised of the small urban mayors. As we know, the GTHA mayors from the 11 bigger municipalities meet on a weekly basis. Some of those conversations don't necessarily translate well to a smaller urban setting. And so we felt that it was important that us as the small urban mayors within the GTHA to get together on a weekly basis as well and have those conversations so we can discuss what's relevant to us, especially during the pandemic, and how we can move forward. Because I mean, it's been very, very clear that sometimes some of the things that that are relevant for the large urban centers are not relevant to towns such as us. And so we want to make sure that we have those conversations and see what works best for our municipalities while we continue to work with the larger municipalities as well. And so we're going to look at combining and working together with the large mayors from the GTHA, but at the same time, begin to get together. Now, this was something that was happening on a frequent basis back, I'd say about 10 years ago, but it stopped, and we felt that this was a good time to bring back a regular meeting, especially during the pandemic and the time that we're going through. So I just wanted to relay that message to all of you to have an understanding that that's what the small urban mayors from the GTHA are doing. So I will move to PSAs. So I'll go around. You guys have all switched on my screen, so it's a free for all. Councillor Gardner, PSAs.
Well, I'd like to once again congratulate, as I think many people on council will tonight, Shelley Ware and her team for a very interesting Santa Claus parade. I couldn't feel my right hand, and I was only there for 3 hours. So congratulations to those that stayed. But I think I would guess the public really liked it. I'd like to, if we have to do this again, I'd like to find a way for people who don't have cars or people who, to walk around, because a few people wear, but I'm not sure how safe it would be if we had a lot of people walking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gilliland, public service announcement.
Thank you. Can I be heard? I just lost power on my earbuds, so can I be heard?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I want to say thank you to Shelley as well. It was absolutely fantastic. A lot of great feedback. I think everybody enjoyed the spirit and the positivity that came from that. I'm very excited that it was very...
Understand. Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess the one thing that I did want to talk about was that Deck the Halls tour, which seems really neat. For some of you who don't know what that is, it's like a tour, it's a drive-by tour of some beautiful lights within the town of Aurora, and there will be a map that will be released on December 10th. Dates between December 12th and December 19th from 5 to 9:30. Check out the website, and I think it'd be a nice thing to do with your family and enjoy the cheer and the lights, and I thought that's a great idea. And also we're very fortunate that was funded by the province of Ontario, and which allowed us to bring some more cheers. So I want to thank them for that as well.
Thank you. Councillor Kim, PSA?
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo, PSA? No? Councillor Thompson, PSA? No? Councillor Humphreys, PSA? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I hope I'm not going to steal some of your thunder, but I just wanted to mention the holiday Christmas market, the Christmas market this weekend, Friday to Sunday, and again the following December 11th to the 13th. My understanding is there needs to be registration to attend, which I wasn't aware of. Maybe someone can clarify that for me.
Councillor did, and just to let you know, and so we should let everyone know, all the spots are filled at this time.
Right. And that means for the people that want to be a vendor, right?
No, that's for people
to attend.
Yeah, to attend. We're only allowed, under provincial orders, we're only allowed 25 people at a time, and so there's very limited time slots with only 25 people at a time. And so they've all been filled up. And my understanding from Shelley is that they were filled up 18 minutes after they opened.
Yeah, no kidding. It's too bad we couldn't do like a sort of a lineup. I guess it's very hard to control the crowds, and so I understand that. You know what? It's obviously it's going to be a success, and I just wanted to thank town to put this on. It's not easy; these aren't easy, but we're doing that, and just to. Again, thank Shelley for all the hard work she does. That girl's got, I swear she has to have a heart of gold to be able to continue to just everything she touches, again, turns to gold. And, you know, hosting this, the parade was different and lovely and heartwarming. And our town needs it. The more that we can do of these things, as much as everyone wants to attend, whoever can at least can experience some lovely times and share that with their friends and family and have the experience of that. And I just hope that more and more we can continue to do things in smaller crowds, maybe more of them, so that people can to attend. So I just wanted to thank that, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Oh, and I don't know if anyone noticed, I know we've got to watch the crowds, but there's a gorgeous, beautiful tree in Town Park that I think is going to be lit up soon that people are going to get to enjoy. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. And just to add to the Christmas market, anyone that is obviously wanting to attend and unable to attend due to the fact that all the slots are filled, the market is also virtual. There will be a virtual component to it. You'll be able to shop from vendors and all that. All you have to do is visit aurora.ca/Christmas market for that one. So that's another way that Shelley has put that together. And I know Councillor Thompson brought that to my attention while we were standing there freezing on the floor. And said we should possibly do it virtually. And when I went to go mention it to Shelley, she said, already done. And so
Fantastic.
Fantastic work that she's done. I also wanted to bring up one last item before we go. Councillor Humphreys wanted to make sure that the Christmas dinner continued, and she brought back to the Aurora Cares Task Force to look at how we can do this. And the reason I know I brought this up before, but the reason I wanted to bring this up again is that there was things that they looked at on how we can put this back together, make sure that it gets done, that needy families that don't have somewhere to spend Christmas, to have a hot meal, are able to have that hot meal and feel the joyous occasion of the holidays. And so through those conversations, some of the talks were about funding. And I just wanted to make mention of born and raised in Aurora resident Jay and his company Greenside Up Contracting has donated $7,000 for the Christmas Dream Dinner. And so very generous. And when I asked him why, he said he's been lucky enough and fortunate enough through the pandemic to do very well, and he wanted to give back to those that are not. And so speaks so much about the Aurora spirit and what our town is all about. So I really wanted to thank him for that donation and making sure that those that need it will be able to have that dinner.
Mr. Mayor, just to add, we were absolutely shocked. We're thrilled. We didn't know what to say. Born and raised, $7,500 to feed over 200 people. It's not cheap. We have to pay for food and funding for all that. And I think one of the nicest things that he said, again, just to Mr. Mayor's, born and raised in Aurora, and he loves this town, and just people are really opening up as best that they can. And Councillor Gardner and I were on that call, both shocked that we heard that. And I believe his company is called Greenside Up. And I think we are truly blessed to have this type of community. And it just shows how different and how special Aurora is. Everyone just coming through. And by the way, Mr. Mayor, I'm getting lots of requests for volunteers. That's another thing to try to handle. We can't have many people, but people want to help as much as they can. It's incredible. If anybody wants to buy a turkey, one turkey, we need at least 12 turkeys at 22 pounds each. You can imagine how expensive they are. So any kind of help, and that money will be going directly to one of the charities that we're getting the list from. So it's all done very open, very concise. And but just want to thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That was an amazing surprise.
Thank you. Councillor Garner, did you have your hand up again for a PSA, or is it just, it's just up? Okay. All right. We do have closed session that we're going to go back into, but I'll ask for an adjournment of this general committee. Councillor Gardner, Councillor Thompson, all those in favor? Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe, and please, and I'll say this before we go, wash your hands, maintain physical distancing, and wear your masks when in enclosed spaces, please. Thank you, everyone, and I'll see all of you in closed session. Make sure you go to the other